Okay, so here I go with this here situation. Hi, hello. So I love YouTube, and a lot of my favorite content creators make these longer form analysis videos of like my favorite shows, movies, books, whatever it is. So like that type of long form detailed analysis, like going through themes and characters and all of that stuff, is my favorite content to consume on YouTube. But they don't always have every single show that I like or that I enjoy. And so for a couple of years now, maybe I've been like threatening to kind of make my own, because I don't know, maybe not for a couple of years, but whatever. I thought recently more seriously about actually making my own videos, because I have a lot of thoughts and opinions about movies, TV shows, all of that ish. And over the years, I've watched these creators like Lessons from the Screenplay and my girl Kenny JD, Nerd Writer, Amanda the Jedi, and I could go on. And I feel like watching all those guys for so long, some of them are newer than others, but anyway, I feel like doing that has given me like not only like the confidence, but like kind of the tools, the language, the words, the inspiration to join in the online conversation about literally anything. So I too can shout my thoughts into the void. So I've been wanting to do it. Then what sort of kicked me into action is I watched Vikings Valhalla recently, and I absolutely loved it. First impressions. So there'll be some mild spoilers in here, which main characters survive season 1 kind of thing, because in this intro, like sort of my first impressions of the show, I'm gonna be talking about both season 1 and season 2. So mild spoilers like in terms of who will be in season 2, but I've kind of made sure that I don't give anything away, kind of besides the fact that a certain character is still around in season 2, and I'm saying like a certain character, but I mean like any character. Dude, Vikings Valhalla has like such a complex narrative, which is held together by the strength of its characters and the outstanding performances of the actors who play those characters. Like, who even are these actors? The performance from the actress who played Freydis, I googled her because 1, I didn't know her name. 2, her performance was captivating and I think she should win some awards for it. 3, she's absolutely gorgeous in the way of like a Norse goddess, like regal with these high cheekbones, but bare skinned, and not wearing makeup in the flippin' Viking age, and freckled from the sun like a true Viking. It turns out she's a model, okay? And this is the biggest show she's been in since The Witcher, where she appeared as Geralt's mom, but I don't remember her from that at all. I don't even think she had a speaking part in that, so, but whatever. And then there's also Laura Berlin, who plays Queen Emma. Geez, I've like never seen a lovelier woman. Everything about her is like all elegance and grace. I mean, I love her. And well, she too is a model, but not at least, because the actress who plays Freydis is magnifique as well. But Laura Berlin has a bit more acting experience. And dude, we're not even talking about the guy who plays Harold and even Olaf. Like, look, don't be shook, but I love Olaf as a character. Harold, Olaf, and Leif, they're so fierce and like kind of awe-inspiring in some of their fight scenes. I don't know, it's like super cool when they're just like roaring with blood. Like, oh my gosh. I don't know, I thought it was dope. And then there's how gorgeous the show is. Like, the director of photography has lovingly crafted this show to be a visual masterpiece. Like, so many of the scenes show these like old Viking rituals and pagan worship rites and sacrifices. I felt like I was being led into this like beautiful but dangerous corner of the world. And the director of photography and all the director have to be people who love that like Nordic culture, because you can see how they treated those aspects with care, like using slow motion, lingering on these shots, and really leaning into the beauty that can be seen in this like form of pagan worship. And then the main pull, boo, the writing. Wow, such great dialogue. Witty, funny when it needs to be, full on gut-wrenching when it has to be. Then there's the characters themselves, like how well the characters are written. Like, yeah, the show is full of great characters that are well written, consistent, like so much so that you can know exactly what to expect of a character. They're also likable in many different ways. See Olaf, which is definitely like helped by how charming and how good the actors are as well. Even a character like Jorundur, who I didn't initially think much of, ended up being one of my absolute favorite characters. So I love these characters. I feel like I know them. That's how well written they are. And I can't wait to dive into how stubborn and implacable some of them are. Girl, I'm looking at you, Freydis. She's a force of nature. And at the end of season 2, my default was like to keep wanting Harald to come and kick Harika's ass. And I had to keep reminding myself that, hey, Freydis, she's likely to kill him herself. And the way that whole storyline played out shook me to the core. It's one of the reasons why I absolutely love season 2. It had me crying, like literally leaking from my eyes. Like, it was wild, that whole plot that Freydis, went through. And okay, so just one last thing that the show does really well, and then I will shut up and start like actually breaking it down and getting on with it. There's real world history being used to tell these stories that the writers have like managed to make diverse in a really natural way, which is something like I haven't really seen in these recent fantasy shows, be they historical or like, complete fantasy. So this season, season 1 is set 100 years after the events of Vikings, which I have not watched. And they start to capitalize on the wide world that they have. I mean, I'm not sure if like Vikings, expands further than just the immediate area of England. But in this show, they travel wide. They tell these amazing stories of travelers out on their adventures, discovering and exploring distant lands and coming across the people from different cultures, different experiences, and just like expanding their horizons, which I guess is quite relevant for me, having recently moved to a new city. Anyway, so I like Bridgerton and Mr. Henry's List, but I guess this is what people always meant when they said like, hello, there's actual real history that you can use to create these stories, like these more realistically diverse tales where you don't have to pretend that like ethical and racial divides don't exist or never existed. So clearly you can tell amazing stories and still tick off your work checklist. Okay, just a structural note, there's spoilers in this section, so skip to like this timestamp to avoid spoilers. This is something that I noticed in terms of like the structure of the seasons, and it's in season 2 especially where I noticed this. But yeah, the plot plays out sort of like short stories that are woven into this like pattern, which is held together by the overarching themes of the show. And each plot plays off as like a self-contained plot in the first half of season 2, for example, with some of the plot lines like almost intersecting but not quite fully meeting. Like Olaf and Harold, for example, until right at the end of season 2, when Freydis and Olaf like collide again. The outcome of which, like, flip, bro, that shook me to the core, because I was just starting to like Olaf. But anyway, dang. So talking about these self-contained plots, there's the British subplot in season 2, which is now completely self-contained, but boy, like, it is so full of wit and like surprising intrigue. I love Godwin and Emma's chemistry, and I can't wait to get into like that whole plot once we get into season 2. But first we must get through season 1. So it's very necessary to do this, because this is where we learn about these guys and how we come to love them and so know and care about them in season 2, when they're like out on their adventures and like out in the wide world. So you probably noticed how like I keep harping on about season 2. I loved season 1, but I think season 2 is like an absolute masterpiece in storytelling, in artsmanship and craft, like the actors' craft, the wardrobe, just like everyone came to work on season 2. So I'm making these videos so I can talk about season 2, because the themes, baby, wow, do I have a lot to say about this show. I'm going deep into each episode, breaking down the plot, the characters, the themes, all my thoughts. There will be spoilers from here on out, so bye. I mean, there were some spoilers, but now they're gonna be like deep spoilers, because now I'm gonna get into some of the themes that I noticed. Okay, so on my first watch, a number of themes stood out to me. The freedom of religion versus tyranny or forced conversion, i.e. conversion by the sword. Okay, religion is a huge part of this show. I mean, it starts off with this horrible crime, a rape and a mutilation being committed against Freydis, my girl, by a Christian man, okay? And she hates Christians forever from then on out. So she is like almost always in opposition with a Christian man, which makes me sad, okay? But okay, let's not get into how all of this saddens me. But anyway, right from the start, religion is a huge theme in this show. And it saddens me, obviously, to see these atrocities committed in the name of Christ. Like, it's a stain in human history. And personally, I know that that's not what Christ is about. So that's all I'm gonna say about that. Okay, this is the last thing I'm gonna say. I strongly disagree with Olaf's methods to convert people, okay? The Lord, anyway, you know what? I strongly disagree. Let's leave it there. I found beauty in the pagan faith, actually. Like the human sacrifice, fine, wasn't a fan of, but I guess the dude like kind of volunteered. So in his faith, does that kind of make him a martyr, or is it frowned upon, or like what if it was his choice? I don't know. You let me know what you think, okay, little void. We'll probably be talking about religion every week because it's so integral to the story. And I'm a Christian person. I strongly disagree with conversion by the sword. Like, the decision to follow Christ, it has to be a free will decision, and all of this nonsense about, going over, like, I just don't get it. I genuinely do not understand, like, why were these people going out and like trying to, conquer places for Christ and like convert people, but the way that they were converting people was going and like murdering them. Like, I'm so confused. Where is the love? That is the first theme. Then the second one, children are the future, or legacy. So I noticed this theme come through a lot more strongly in the second season. I don't know if that will change after I do the deeper episode by episode dive. So we'll see. But in any case, it stood out to me in season 2 because of all the baby children plot lines that were going on, like with Knut's kid, and then with Olaf's kid, and that whole like situation with the swap there, and then again with like Haruka, that flippin' Negro. You know what I hate the most in this world is when people flippin' like take stuff like bodily autonomy, and yes, like, oh, anyway, you know what? I've actually written something on this, so let me not go off my mind. Let's stick to the script, baby. Anyway, it stood out to me in season 2 because of all of the baby and children plot lines and Knut, blah, 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 all those swaps. And it made me think of how, like, this theme is quite relevant to our nowadays, right? Since men have clearly always wanted control over the female vagina. I guess it's specifically because this vagina produces legacies like that can carry on the names of these great men. Like, I don't know. Is that why? I don't know. But in any case, people who want like control over others always go for their children. Like, think of like what the definition of a genocide is. It includes taking children like the Native Americans and Native Aboriginal peoples and raising them outside of their native culture. Think Freydis and Haruka taking little baby Harold. And then there's the Hitler Youth, you know, and why these, governments that want to be more authoritarian or more controlling of their people, like, you know, or just, you know, some fascists. And this is why they're so gung-ho about keeping certain topics in like school curriculums, you know, and certain other topics out of school curriculums. Or in any case, it's a relevant theme. I guess kids are easy to control and easy to shape. And so by taking hold of their minds and shaping it to like your worldview and all of that, you could be shaping, or you are shaping, the literal future of the world. I mean, right? Yeah, right. Feminist kings and queens. Okay, my girl Freydis is absolutely unreal. I'll get into her with the character dives at the end of each episode, but damn, look at this woman. She is a unit, and once she learns to fight, she's like basically unstoppable. Harold, my feminist king, standing by his girl. But in any case, I say this because the show is like quite liberal leaning. Like, think of it, the leader of Kattegat in the season 1 is a woman. There's the shield maidens who are respected warriors. Freydis as well is an example. And then it seems like there's not such hectic gender roles that are being like followed. Do you know what I mean? Like, they're there, but if you want to step out of that gender role, like, you can, is what I'm seeing. Next one is the threads of fate. So there are certain characters with what I call a high fate, like Harold and Freydis. This is like Beren and Luthien, for example, who Tolkien describes as having like a doom upon them. So they're fated in that way, but also by birth and by selection, right? Harold is a prince, that's by birth, and selection, Freydis is a chosen one. What I like is that we can see that even though they're chosen or born into these roles of authority, their own strength of will carries them through when those, you know, birth or chosen one authorities are challenged. So think Harold with the Peshin eggs, when he spat out his defiance, like, and didn't just rely on his title, since clearly the title meant nothing in that situation. He had to have the chops to back it up. He had to have the backbone. And boy, if anyone's got backbone and chops, it's my man Harold. He is just, he's a beast. I dig him so far. I love that he's got like the ability to back it up, like, you know, he's a prince of Norway. Oh, okay. You're not gonna take me seriously? No, that ain't gonna fly. What do you think this is? Ooh, throws like a challenge down because he trusts in himself and his ability. So these people have got a high faith, and so the things that they do are like great because of this high faith. Like you think of Freydis, you know, she becomes the last daughter of Uppsala and she becomes this priestess, and people follow her naturally because she is a natural leader, right? And so is Harold, because they don't wait for people to tell them to lead. They pick up authority of their own accord, though they have that high doom as well, that fate, because he is a prince and she is a chosen one. So that's my point. And I will be commenting on this and showing you how where exactly I was noticing this theme coming through and how it impacts the story. So I cannot wait to do this somewhat detailed analysis, going through each episode in detail, a la over analyzing Avatar, telling y'all what went down, commenting on whatever I notice that is great or that is not great or that is lame or that is cool. And then I'll go through each character, what I note about them, and also how each plot fits into the overarching themes that I noted. We're gonna have a great time. I'm excited. Let's get cracking. I don't know why I keep wiggling my shoulders. Yay! Episode 1 slate. I'm just doing Mike's mic. Anyway, cool. So, right off the bat, we meet Harold Sigurdsson, the future king of Norway. Okay, so right off the bat, I'm like, how even is he the future king of Norway? Because I don't really get the structure of like how the crown gets passed around, because there's Canute. I'm still not even sure exactly what he is the king of, but whatevs. And then it's like, okay, Harold's half brother Olaf is he the current king? Like, I'm like, who's the current king of Norway? And then I saw in this episode actually that it's his brother.
Good friends, tonight on St. Brice's Day, we say goodbye to my baby brother, Prince Harald Sigurdsson, the someday king of Norway.
So it's been difficult for me to understand this whole thing, like his brother, is he the king over here? I hope that on this rewatch I will find out, like, you know, I'll get more insight into how exactly this crown is getting passed down. So Harold is leaving England, okay, and the old king gives us some nice red wedding trauma to kick off the season. This is terrible. They kill everyone like in a slaughter, this absolute massacre. And then the king says that the reason for these slayings is that they're not Saxon. And then later he says that it's the alderman that made him do it. But I'm like, why? Why would they just slaughter a bunch of men, women, children? I mean, these days are so brutal, it's ridiculous. After that, we get our first look at the Greenlanders. This is who the episode is named after. And we've got Freydis yelling in the wind like a wild thing. This is so in line with her, and I love that this is the first thing that we see of her, is her just like standing fearlessly in the middle of this raging storm on this mast, just screaming, like, right? And then we get our first look at Leif, although we don't know that that's his name yet. And I like that the first thing we learn about him, or the first thing that we see him doing, is thinking, considering, calculating, being an expert in his craft. So we see him receive information from Freydis, then he looks at the mast, you know, he looks at the wind, he looks at the water, and then like you don't know what he's seeing or what's happening, but you can see just the wheels, the cogs turning in his mind. And then yeah, so already we know that Leif is thoughtful, that he's calculated, and that he knows exactly what he's doing. Okay, and then looming directly overhead is a massive wave that they somehow need to get past. Okay, I'm like, Leif, run, but he's like, no, we're turning it directly towards the wave. I'm like, okay, sir, you're the captain. I don't know how like it happens, if this is really what happens on the sea, but the whole boat starts just climbing up this massive wave, and what you see is these Greenlanders are some crazy mother effers. I mean, it's pure unadulterated madness what we're seeing right here. But Leif, cool as a cucumber, just as always, you know, he's my silent king. The crew celebrates as they make it like safely all the way down, but then we turn around to see that there was another ship that unfortunately did not make it. And then we're pulling into Kattegat. We open on a shipwreck, and Harold is looking for someone at the docks as the Greenlanders arrive.
Kattegat, it is more beautiful than I ever imagined.
And then Leif, my silent king, a man of few words, he says nothing. These guys are so chuffed. I mean, we saw what they done been through, so yeah, celebrate. But Leif, my silent king, doesn't say a word. The Greenlanders are clearly about some form of business, because as soon as they pull in and tie up the boat, then...
Did any ships from the west make it in last night?
No, just 2 ships before the storm. It is possible.
Leif starts handing, like, you know, orders out to people. You go there, you go here, la la la. And nobody questions that, hey? So Leif is clearly the leader of this group, right? I guess that's obvious due to the fact that he was the captain. So these guys clearly have some sort of like mission or agenda. And at first I thought that they were looking for news of their like fellow travelers. On the second watch, I get the impression that they are actually looking for someone, like not like their own people. Because the way that Leif and the other Greenlander look at each other when the dude says could be, it's just like it's sus. We then see Harold is still walking through the shoreline, and he's approaching the docks where he gets his very first glimpse of Freydis in the distance. Meanwhile, Leif and the other Greenlanders go through Kattegat, the town square, the market square, I suppose. And when I first watched it, I never noticed these people right here. Like, those are slaves, right? They're clearly bound up and at the market for sale. Like, I only noticed them now because of what happens in season 2. But yeah, when I saw these people here, I didn't really get it. I didn't get that they were slaves, you know. Then Leif spots the Great Hall of Kattegat, and he says that he's gonna go check inside there while the other Greenlanders continue to search the rest of the town. Back at the docks, Freydis and a few of her Greenlander mates are just, you know, I don't know what they're doing. I'm not a sailor. But Harold walks up to her, and why do y'all think he came to talk to her? Harold is quite shook by the fact that they sailed all the way from Greenland in this tiny little boat, and he's quite impressed. But Freydis, she looks him up and down, baby. Oh, you better believe she sizes him up. It's like it's the first time she actually looks at him, you know, when she runs her eyes up and down, basically him, and essentially notices him for the first time. They start to get their flirt on, and when I tell you that Frida Gustafsson is lovely, like, y'all, come on. Harold makes what can only be a pass at Freydis and offers for her to use his bath. The other 2 Greenlanders kind of snigger back there, and I also snigger because he's definitely hitting on her. And Freydis knows because she really, like, when I said she noticed him that first time, now she really sizes him up, if you know what I mean. And she's like, yeah, bath would sound good. A lot of things would sound good. We join Leif in the Great Hall. He walks past, just, you know, walking through, minding his own business, and almost immediately some dude clocks him. And I'll tell you right now, dudes are always clocking Leif, eh? Leif has a drink with some orcs. They're kind enough to pass him a beers. These guys are all here to be part of King Canute's army to essentially avenge the people that were massacred on St. Bryce's Day. So they're quite surprised that he doesn't know about that. And so the obvious question is, well, if you're not here to be part of this army to avenge what happened on St. Bryce's Day, then why exactly are you here? And then this is when Leif finally tells us what exactly they're looking for. Like, up until now, I had genuinely thought, up until now on my first watch, I had not really realized that he was looking for someone until when he asked about, until this point. Leif says he's looking for a Viking who was wearing a cross like the one that he's got a picture of. So Freydis must have drawn that cross, right? In any case, before the other dudes can say anything, that dude that clocked him at the start, like, rudely accosts him and asks him where he got his coat. Like, rude. This guy thinks that he can just buy this coat from Leif. And I mean, like, what kind of a rude man is this? Because even if he wanted to buy it, why did he have to be so rude? He says he'll pay double whatever it cost Leif. And Leif shows a nice little scar on his chest and says, well, this is what it cost me. And double would have killed me. So, you know, do you think that was a veiled threat? Thinly veiled threat, maybe. And this dude who wants this coat, Alfrun from Wunderbar or whatever the hell, like, he is the most entitled mother effer I've ever seen. He's like, bro, if I say I want ish, I get it, okay? Leif, he is so funny. He's just like so quiet in his own way, but he a cheeky mother effer too. We get our first tiny snippet of action, and I guess I should have known just from this little snip that the action in this movie was gonna be amazing. Not in this movie. The action scenes in this series were gonna be absolutely amazing. The little scuffle is broken up by some swole looking woman with a massive sword. And I guess they don't really look swole. It's probably just the mail that they're wearing. But like, I don't know, the lead one, her presence was so big that I thought she was swole. Anyway, at first, when I first saw this, I genuinely did not know what on earth was going on with these here ladies. I realize now that these are the shield maidens of Kattegat, and we saw them already here. Like, I genuinely didn't realize that this is what this was. When I first watched it, in fact, I was like, oh, okay, is this like a fantasy kind of show? Is there like some sort of like women's warrior guild and this like fantasy Viking show or something? But no, these are the shield maidens of Kattegat, and they look super cool, and everybody respect the hell out of them. Because did you see how the whole hall went quiet? Everybody stopped what they were doing. Like, Leif, super respectful. He was like, oh, my bad, sorry. And they're like, yeah, you better be sorry. And they're all flipping holding their swords. Do you know what I mean? They're holding their swords in the way that, like, you know, like cops hold their guns when they come across like a perp or someone. That's how these ladies are holding their swords. And they look. So back to what Leif was doing before he was so rudely interrupted. The orcs that he was talking to are like, oh, you fight like this, but you're not here to be part of the army. But Leif is like, nah, he's looking for someone. The guy asks, you know, why he's looking for this dude with the cross. And Leif is like, mind your business. Dangerous.
It is my business.
Leif's like, mind your damn business. So one of the dudes then says to Leif that he looks at the drawing that Leif gave them, and he says, well, this is an English cross. So whoever this cross belongs to would be a Viking that spent time in England. And so, guys, like, it's a clue. I didn't even realize that it was a clue on my second watch, I mean, because if you haven't noticed, this is a third watch for me. I lost a clip where I was reviewing this, so I am doing a bit of a voiceover here, so don't you worry. But anyway, I'm only realizing now that this was a clue. So there's only 2 Vikings that we know that spent time in England, and that's Olaf and that's Gunnar. So I guess this should have clued us in that it's not necessarily Olaf. And I guess, again, because of the pronoun game, there was some sort of Hi! As you can see, it's a new outfit. It's also a different day. It is the next day, so I was quite like ambitious. I thought like I was gonna get this video done in one day. It has become apparent to me that in fact this is gonna probably take a couple of days, and that's fine. That's fine. This is where I left off. Leif has just come in and found Freydis with Harold and is telling them that there are ships coming into the harbor. And so Freydis' ears prick right on up. We also know exactly who it is that they're looking for and why. And now you're a little bit more invested, right? Now you're also like, oof, I wonder, who's it gonna be? Another note is I was acting a fool when I was filming this last night. Because I wasn't listening to it, so I wasn't like getting any of the dialogue and the intrigue. So now I'm actually re-watching the show. Sorry guys, sorry. It's gonna get even more detailed now because I got my earphone in, got the laptop to the side over here, and now I'm genuinely watching the show, and I will be periodically just like commenting, doing my thing. But for first try, that was fine. One thing I do want to say about this scene that I didn't say yesterday was how flippin' sassy Freydis is. Like, Harold comes in, his whole thing is always like, oh, I'm the future king of Norway, oh, I'm the grandson of Harold Finehair. And Freydis is like, am I supposed to know who that is? Like, dang girl, that's cold. But that is Freydis. She doesn't give an F about what you say. But Leif has come in to tell Freydis that there's a ship coming, i.e. the dude who did the thing is probably on it or could be on it. And so we get excited, we get pumped, especially now that we have like the background of why exactly they're looking for this guy. We now have a little stake in this search because he did such a terrible and horrible thing to her. We want to see who is this guy. So the ships start coming in. Leif, Freydis and gang make their way towards the harbor, where a crowd cheers as a ship comes into port. On this ship, oh my word, Olaf. Look at him, look at that smile and that beard. He's so annoying. So clearly there's a whole ass misdirect happening. I don't know if the misdirect got you, misdirect got me for realsies. Like, I thought like maybe there was something happening, but when Freydis did the deed to the rapist, I was quite shocked. I was like, oh my gosh, like I didn't realize that. So actually that means no, I lied. I just lied to y'all. My bad, sorry. That means that that was not true. I did not see this misdirect coming, and it's a really good one. But the way that like the misdirect is shot is like such that when this boat comes in, okay, we see Olaf, he's like waving and jolly and like this big guy, and where because it's focusing on him and not on the guy that's standing behind him, we assume that the guy that they're talking about is Olaf, right? Oh, by the way, the reason that I thought that I had caught the misdirect when I didn't is that what I caught was the fact that they kept using the pronoun game. So they never said the name of this rapist. They kept on saying he and him, and it was done so well because there was a good in-world reason for them not to say his name. Like, they don't know his name. That was done like so well. What a great misdirect. Like, I suspected something because of the pronoun game, and that always like gets me on my guard, but because like they didn't just write in like the pronoun game lazily as they normally do. The pronoun game being, actually, let me explain that. So Cinema Sins like always gives us a sin for when they play like the pronoun game. So whenever they talk about someone but they don't use their name, they just say he or she. You as the viewer, the audience, you don't know who they're talking about, but it's like lazily done because it's like normally done in quite a forced way. So this way that they've done it has like a real in-world reason. They genuinely don't know the name of this dude. It was just some guy who came across the farm and decided to flip and assault Freddy. Therefore, when like the reveal came, I was like, oh my gosh, I suspected something, but also like I 100% thought it was Olaf, because every single time they have Olaf like in a scene, the other guy is also in the background of that scene. And so when I was watching it again, I was like, oh my god, hello, he's right there the whole time. This guy is now arriving, okay? And Freydis has just got this look on her face and she says it's him. One of the first things that we hear Olaf say is, by the grace of Christ. Leif sees that Olaf and Harold are leaving.
Something looks like we should go before we lose the light. Irsa, go get our things.
And so they follow. And these Greenlanders, like the way that Leif like looks at the terrain and he looks into the forest, like it's like this dude, he just is so good at, what do you call it, forest steering, like being in nature. He leads them to a shortcut through the woods, and they get a great vantage point where they come across a massive army just gathered down in the valley below. Another thing that I really like about this, now we're talking about the cinematography, wow, like from 33 like minutes in, this shot where they all walk in, like they sort of file in, right, and line up on across the ridge. And money shot, right, with their furs. They look so cool. The Greenlanders looking over this this valley where there's a massive army gathered, and the shot is just so gorgeous. I mean, I really wonder where this was shot, and I wonder if it was shot on site, because it's beautiful wherever it is, and you can see like mountains in the distance. They look out over the valley and we see Harold and Olaf arriving at the tents in the camp and entering the main tent where King Canute of Denmark is waiting for them. Then another note on the misdirection. So that flippin' rapist is there in the background. And on my first watch, I hardly noticed this guy, but he's here. Then he leaves and he wanders off to grab some food. And then again, the focus is on Olaf. So it's another misdirection that they were doing here with this Olaf and Gunnar. Sorry, that's his name. Although he don't deserve to be named Gunnar Magnusson, you nasty. We then learn that Olaf and Harold are brothers. And then you're like, oh my flippin' gosh, this rapist is Harold's brother. And you were shipping Harold and Freydis, okay? And now you just know there is no future at all for them, because that man's brother flippin' assaulted her and mutilated her forever. Like, she will have that scar for the rest of her life. So Olaf and Canute start having a little chat about how it is that Olaf can help in this quest for revenge for what the British did on St. Brice's Day in terms of the massacre. The massacre, St. Brice's Day massacre. And so Canute, then we learn like, oh, okay, this is why Harold brought Olaf here, is because he told Canute about Olaf's connections and his like previous job or like what he did in England. And so Olaf then confirms to Canute, he says, yeah, we know, so King Canute is like, I hear you have intimate knowledge of the defenses around the city. And Olaf's like, yeah, you could say that.
Our plan is to surprise the English. Send a sea force up the Thames.
That won't work. The Thames is fortified from the estuary to the city. And the English have a string of lookouts along the coast.
Well, let us hear your strategy then.
Olaf says, hold on a moment. How about we talk some terms? And of all the terms, right, of everything that Olaf could have asked for, he says, you know, he starts talking about the tribes and how they're all pagans, basically, a great number of them. And he says that he cannot fight with these pagans. King Canute is like, no. Pagan, Christian, we're all Vikings. He doesn't draw any distinctions between the two. But Olaf stands strong, and he is like, his God and his Savior, Jesus Christ, would not sanction him standing and fighting alongside pagans. And my question to him is, Olaf, sir, please show me where in the scripture Jesus said that, okay? Where did he say, you can't fight? Oh, shucks, you know what? Well, he wasn't talking about you. Maybe, fine. Maybe Olaf is referencing, like, I think in the Old Testament, there's some scriptures that's like, you know, talking to the Israelites, specifically with the people with whom God had a covenant, okay? Speaking to them, and he said, like, don't mingle and mix with them. I don't know if he said don't fight with them, but I think what that whole thing was around in the Bible, where in the Old Testament God was like, essentially, if you like, the Israelites were coming back from you know, the 40 years wandering in the deserts, and now they were starting to conquer the promised land, going through all those places. And this is these are all the Jericho stories is happening around this time. And in the Bible, there is actually stuff that's some scriptures or a scenario that's essentially God being displeased because they had foreign armies come and fight for them, right? And so that displeased God, and he didn't fight for them, and so the Israelites lost in these cases where they didn't trust in God. So you can see that that's a whole other different story, okay, for a number of reasons. One, okay, these are the Israelites in the Old Testament. Okay, this is not Christians, sir. Okay, there's nothing in the New Testament about okay, there's things about pagan worship and all of that, but there's nothing about fighting alongside pagans, right? Okay, written just like that. Old Testament, talking about the Israelites. Second of all, the point was that they got these people to fight for them because they didn't trust in God. And so God was like, well, y'all don't trust in me. Okay, but that was like the covenant that they had, which is a complex, like, doctrinal thing where, and like, you know, that needs to be studied out, okay? In any case, in the New Testament, the only thing that I can think of is do not be yoked unequally with unbelievers. And I don't know, I think the interpretation of that scripture is generally used in the way of romantic relationships, because it's like the yoking, the metaphor there is about like a team of cart horses or donkeys that are yoked to one another. And so if you're yoked to someone, you're partners with them and you're pulling this plow together. And so it's like, don't be unequally yoked with this unbeliever. And yeah, the Bible says that, and I'm not going to comment on it. That's just what it says, okay? But again, like, this is a completely different situation, because these orcs, as Knut have said, they're all Vikings over here. So, you know, and this is a whole different situation, do you know? So I don't know. Anyway, that is all to say. BS, Olaf. Okay, you stop. I gotta stop talking in this American accent, bro. So in any case, this is what Olaf wants, okay? He doesn't want to fight alongside these pagans, and the remedy that he recommends...
A mass conversion.
Harold is immediately against the idea, but, you know, and opposes it. And Olaf's response is not to respond to what Harold has said, but to actually just what's the word I'm looking for? Olaf's response is not to respond to the actual thing that Harold has just said. No, it's to just, you know, remind them of the fact that without his strategy, without his knowledge, his ungunners, that they don't have a chance in hell. And so, okay, good on you, Olaf. You played hardball there. And Knut says, I'm sorry for you. Dang, Knut. Yo, the people like in this show, like these characters, they have sharp tongues. Yes, they've got some sharp tongues on them. Oh, I'm sorry for you, Knut. You've come a long way for nothing. There will be no mass conversion. That's it. You can't strong arm Knut. He's a king. So that didn't work, and Olaf is clearly displeased. We get back to the Greenlanders. So they're all gathered around, sort of camped out there, and they had lookouts, I think, posted that were keeping an eye on the tent, and that were supposedly or ostensibly going to report back when there was any change, or if anything happened, or if he left the tent, as to where exactly it was. So then they sort of, you know, point out the fact that him being in that tent for so long shows that he's quite important. And some of the other Greenlanders, whose names I don't exactly know that well. I know there's Tova. I get to know their names like as the season goes, but then because I watched season 2 more recently, like I forgot these guys' names, okay? And spoiler alert, they don't last like all the way, you know, to the end of season 1. So in any case, so these guys aren't like happy with the new like circumstances, being that this guy is quite important. He's got direct access to the king. He's here with like the future king of Norway. He's Prince Prince Harold. Hey, that's another thing. Harold is a prince. I've never considered that. You can only be a prince by birth, right? So I ask yet again with tears in my eyes, who's the king of Norway? Okay, anyway, sorry, back to it. Okay, tangent done. So these Greenlanders aren't happy, and they're like, nah, we feel uneasy about this situation. And you know, Freydis is like, nah, nothing has changed. The situation is the same. We are here for our revenge. We're gonna get it. And, you know, the guys don't really feel the same. But the problem is because he's like around, you know, the king of Norway, like all these like heavy hitters, it's like, how are you going to get close to him? How are you going to do this to take your revenge? Like, you know, oh, and I've just noted that this is a bit of foreshadowing. He asks, what's your plan? To go down there and simply take your revenge? And Freydis, my girl, like, I'm such a big ass stand for her. I can't recall a character that I like loved as much as Freydis. Like, she's just so like strong in herself, you know, like when she sets her mind to something, like, good luck to you if you want to stand in her way. So in any case, she's like, yeah, if I have to go down there to take my revenge, then yeah, I will. And you know, the guy, I think it's Tova that's talking. I must turn on the closed captions because that will actually help. Girl, I've been playing myself. That's how I knew their names on the watch, actually. Playing myself. But at any rate, Tova, right, is like not keen, or if it's Tova, whatever, I haven't seen his name yet. So the Greenlanders are uneasy. They feel like, you know, they're fish out of water. Like, the big tall dude is like, dude, who do we even know here? What do we know about this place? Like,
until this morning, no one among us had seen more than 40 people together in one place. Now, I look on more men than in Iceland and Greenland together. We must be able to admit that what we came here for is now hopeless.
Before coming here, they had never seen as many people. So it's quite something for them. And I mean, sure, I get it. It would be a culture shock to anyone to, you know, live on your tiny little island, like far, far away with like, who knows how many people, like 50, I don't know, 1,000, I don't know, numbers of people that live on small islands or specifically Greenland in this time period. But at any rate, like, yeah, to see that army down there, it makes sense that they would be pooping in their pants. So yeah. Oh, I actually never finished my comment on the foreshadowing.
What is your plan then? We'll go down there and simply take your revenge?
If I have to?
So, I just noticed that this was a little bit of foreshadowing because that's exactly what they end up doing. They just go down there and she takes her revenge. Like, so nicely done. So this is a cool thing about rewatching stuff, is that you get to pick up on the foreshadowing. Oh my gosh, Knives Out, Glass Onion. Boy, that's something that I really want to do because there's so like, oh my, okay, let's not get into it, but yeah, let's carry on, girl. Freydis is looking a little worried and tense, okay? And you know what, Leif is her ride or her die, okay? Because he's got her, okay? He reassures her that he's got this and to trust her.
I love this scene because you know how I said that every scene needs to be useful, either move the plot along or do some character building. So this moment where we just pause and Freydis and Leif just speak, they just talk. She laments the fact that Leif stopped her when she tried to immediately go and take out Olaf, I guess, is what we think at the time. So, you know, she's lamenting that because now she feels that the other Greenlanders aren't going to help. And if they don't help, you know, it's pretty much a bit hopeless for them. So she refuses to accept that it's hopeless, but she just doesn't know what to do. And Leif says to her, you know, if he had let her go and, you know, take Olaf out right then and there when he arrived at the little port, then she would be dead right now. She says, you know what? I'd rather be dead, okay? Because
then all I'd be is in Valhalla feasting with the gods and with Odin and all those folks. And she also says that her father would be proud. So I think this is the first time that they mention, oh no, it's the second time so this is the second time that we hear mention of their father, Eric the Red. And he's quite a hard person, this Eric the Red, is what we get. And I love this scene because it characterizes them two as having a really close relationship. Leif responds that he doesn't care about their father. He doesn't care what their father would think. He wants her to be alive.
I didn't come all the way from Greenland to make father proud. I came here for you.
So Leif has got a plan, he's got something in the works, and like as the season goes on, you'll see that this is Leif's thing, right? Like and it's so awesome that we see it right from the start. Leif is the plan man with a plan. Leif, right? He's got a plan, but he's also measured and patient. He doesn't do anything with haste, you know, and some people could find that annoying. I know some people actually who don't do things with haste, like, oh my gosh, like, mama, I'm calling you out. Okay, and it can be annoying when you're like trying to like, you know, get an objective done, right? But Leif, calm, measured, he thinks before he acts. And I don't know, I find it like really cool because of season 2, lol, because he, you know, he starts being a scholar essentially of the world in season 2, and I'm like, it's cool to come back here and see that this was always a characteristic of his, was thoughtfulness and like insight, you know, and making plans. We see Harold moving through the camp of the army, and he makes his way to his half-brother Olaf, and they get to talking. Olaf is a bit sassy, asking, has Canute changed his mind? No, Canute hasn't changed his mind. And so Olaf is not interested at all. So Harold, this is the first time, I guess, okay, but that's something that we're going to see about Harold not going forward, but we'll see that this is something that Harold does. He is someone, so now look at this. So remember at the start of this video, I said that the characterization in this series is super consistent. So I'm telling you of the first instance. I didn't even realize that this was the first instance. I thought the big speech that's coming up, in one of the scenes coming up now, was going to be the first instance. Nor here it is, like Harold starts giving a little speech and he reminds Olaf of their brother Sven. Okay, I'm like, their brother Sven. And I guess the first time that I watched it, that like completely flew over my head. I was like, brother Sven, who? Because I had forgotten about the guy at the start, who is actually, I suppose, their brother Sven, who must really have been the king of Norway, guys. Like, because listen, Harold continues, he says, well, their brother Sven's 2 children were murdered on St. Bryce's Day. Are you gonna let that stand? And so, I mean, my mind is blown. This is why I'm so confused, guys, because the exposition is woven into like the proper dialogue. Like, these guys are not spoon feeding us, guys. They are not spoon feeding us. Okay, so because so Sven, the old king of Norway, right? I don't know why I made that assumption at first, but I'm pretty sure that Sven was the king of Norway, guys. He had 2 children and they both died. They were killed in the St. Bryce's Day massacre, as was Sven. Therefore, there's no king of Norway. Olaf, and we learned in a previous scene that Olaf is the bigger brother because he called Harold baby brother, right? My baby brother. And it was so natural, like, that it was like such natural exposition that I hardly commented on it, only to say that, okay, now we know that he is older, right? So he's the older brother. So in terms of like the line of succession, if we're talking about that, I guess that would make Jarl Olaf like the next king of Norway, right? So, because they have the same mother, not the same father. Was the father the king? Maybe Sven and Harold had the same father and mother, and then flip, you know what? I don't know. But anyway, that was a side tangent because I was talking about Harold and like his tendency to eloquate, hey? To speak, hey? He likes to give a speech, my man Harold. Harold, he's always got a speech ready, baby. Any situation you find yourself in, Harold got a speech to get you out of it, son, or to motivate you, or to stop people from fighting, or to get himself out of being killed. Like, this man has got a tongue on him. And it's so funny because we've got, I love the characters in this show. Like, we've got Leif, who is my silent king, silent but calculating. And here we've got Harold, okay? Is this the first thing that we learn about Harold? No, the first thing that we learn about Harold is that he's left the king of Norway. Okay, he says that so many times. I'm gonna like make a flippin' reel of each single time he says I'm the future king of Norway. So yeah, this is the first time that we see him, you know, displaying this characteristic. Or maybe this is the first time that I'm noting it. Maybe you guys notice, like, you little void. Look at me, talking to the void like it's people. But personally, this is the first time that I'm noting, like, yeah, him making a speech, okay? So his speech is about Sven and the kids and all of that, but look at that. Two birds, one stone. Exposition, okay, that we didn't have before. Characterization. Hello, scene. You've done your work. You've done stuff. You've taught us stuff. You were useful, okay? Thank you. We keep you. Love it. I mean, literally, this is going to be every single flippin' scene, guys. This is going to be such a long video. Maybe not, though. We'll see. Oh my gosh. And then this grow. Flippin' Olaf. Can you believe it? He says,
revenge is the motive of the heathen. My savior, Christ, forbids it.
Revenge is the motive of the heathen. My savior, Christ, forbids it. Okay, fine. It's true. But Olaf, like, bro, okay, fine. I'm gonna keep count of Olaf and what he does because I'm pretty sure he murders people, okay? Like, pretty sure, Olaf, you do terrible flippin' things, bro. And now you're coming here, like, using, like, no, my savior, crap, like, bro, don't you just say that you don't wanna do it, okay? In season 1, Olaf actually really annoys me, like, and I think it's because this whole time, like, the whole time I was watching season 1, the first time around, I thought he was a rapist, assaulter, mutilator, right? So I had zero time for him. Okay, and it's only in season 2 that I started liking him because the actor who plays him is like quite charming, and so he's got a great smile and a great beard and a great presence and everything. Like, he arrives and is like, you know, it's Olaf. So I get it. I wouldn't say he went on a redemption arc because he remained the damn same the whole time. And we'll get into that because I continue to disagree with Olaf's doctrine. And I would like him to come at me, okay? Please, sir, tell me where in the Bible you see the things that you're doing. Tell me where Jesus said, go out and murder. Tell me, sir. Brew, okay, so he gives the speeches, okay, but these speeches, dang. Brew, he got a tongue, but it's a silver tongue. Like, my man, I don't know, he's cunning, he's quick-witted, okay? He's very sharp, Harold, is that's what I'm seeing from what he's just said. Is like, well, I'm sure your savior has no problem with like gold, hey? And if you stay out of this, basically, you know, what exactly will you have achieved? Okay, because Canute is going to win and he's going to build an empire and you're going to be on the outskirts of that. And I guess and then he walks away. He drops the mic, he walks away. Wow. Harold. I don't know why I don't remember that as being like the big one, but I guess it's because the next one is like a lot more dramatic, but good on you, Harold. He likes his speeches and he's good at them. But it's because he keeps sharp. He always practices, okay? He's giving speeches every day. We then see Leif walking through the army camp and going through essentially just looking at people. And the funny thing is Leif always does this, right? So he's often looking for people, so he just walks around and he just, you know, looks around, but he's genuinely like looking around because he's looking for people. He walks through, we see some people praying, and then an old man tells him he got to get out of there because there's Christians, and if they caught him prowling around, then he'd be lucky to get back. And I'm like, dang, what the hell kind of Christians are these, bro? But brew, Middle Ages. The history of the church is stained in blood, like just like the history of America. I took a shot and then I gave one back. But so here's another shot. See, white people, that's how you take accountability for something that you didn't do yourself, acknowledge it, and then, you know, you can carry on with your life without having to bear a crazy amount of guilt. Okay, dang. That is what it is, right? Here I am, I didn't do nothing. And yes, like, this is true. Like, these Christians are hectic. Like, this man's like, bro, get out, they will kill you. And we have seen, brew, in this very season, we are going to see some Christians murdering, okay? And it is so atrocious, and it's so flippin' awful and terrible that this happened. And hate it. I hate it. I hate that it's like the history of the church, like, which I love the Church of Christ and I love Jesus, and these things were done in the name of Jesus, and that is disgusting, okay? Jesus is love, okay? He's all about love and grace and peace, okay? And reconciliation with God, not about killing people who are just peacefully worshiping their, you know, their gods, you know? So, with the medieval Christians. The little old man leads Leif through to a safer area of the camp, and they head on down to where a bunch of people, a bunch of Vikings are gathering to hear King Canute talk. And then we see the King of Denmark himself. I love like the shots of King Canute as he's speaking. And I'll go into what he's saying, but I just love how this looks. So King Canute, his speech is essentially, it starts out with him giving a bit of history and how it came to be that Vikings were in England, and essentially like how the Danelaw came to be.
And a slaughter began. A massacre, unknown in the long history of our people. An attack, not warrior to warrior, but waged on innocent women and children.
So Canute is whipping these guys into shape, giving this rousing speech. And something that stood out is just how he says nuts. Well, nuts.
Our ancestors with nuts. I var the boneless and Björn Ironside with nuts. I will not.
Will you?
I don't know, I dig it. Will you? I dig it. I mean, I was also, when I first watched it, when Canute was like, will you? I was like, no, I will not. I will not. I can't do it. I love this shot over here. Look at it. He's holding onto his sword and he's got his furs on. And look how fierce he looks. And then, okay, so remember I told you guys that this show is carried by like the characters, the consistent characterization, the amazing storytelling and techniques that they make use of. Like, I mean, I'm even noticing more that I didn't notice on first watch. And also the strength of the actors' performances. And this, the guy who plays King Canute, let me see what his name is. Oh, it's Bradley Freegard. So Canute whips them all up, and even me, I was whipped up. But Leif looks a little, I don't know. He either looks maybe like he's getting inspired or slightly conflicted. I don't know. He looks around and Harold is loving it and Canute is loving it and everyone is having a great time, going insane until someone's gotta be party pooper. Oh, this dude.
We'll fight the English, but not with Christians. Christians killed my family. They are my true enemy.
And you are mine, pagan.
One thing that I like about this show, like one thing, lol, as if this isn't a video entirely about everything that I love about this show. But anyway, another thing that I like about this show is that the theme of religion is quite strong throughout, and it doesn't paint one or the other side as better, right? We've got people here who happen to believe certain things, doing things, and I really like that that the show does that, you know, and doesn't try to make a comment as to, okay, this type of group is XYZ and this type of group is XYZ. We see all manner and all forms of pagans, Christians, season 2 that expands to even further. So yeah, I really like that. But this man comes up and he's like, bro, I'll fight, but not with these stinking Christians. I'm like, bro, can you stop? And then another guy comes in, a pagan, and he's like, well, I don't want to fight with you either. And we're like, bro, can you please? And then these orcs, they like essentially they come to blows, and Harold has to jump in between them and stop them from fighting. And I love that. I love how when he gets cut on the arm by the pagan dude, by the Christian dude with the long beard, he like does this like yell, like this wild bellow, the scream. I mean, I don't know what I love about it. It's just so real. He's just like, whoa. Here we go, big speech moment.
This blood is not my blood. It is our blood. It is Viking blood. It will always be.
And then we see like, why does Harold know all these jarls, all these earls, right? I mean, these are the lords of this society, you know, all under King Canute. And actually, Harold's title isn't Jarl Harold, it's Prince Harold. So Harold is a prince, y'all. Like, get it straight. This is a prince, guys. It's Prince Charming. No, I'm kidding. But I like that he knows all of them, right? So again, it's on that theme of fate, but also taking it into hand. Do you know what I mean? Because he was born into this, and so he knows all these guys and he grew up around them, and so by virtue of being this prince, he has a platform to speak. Like, he has I don't want to say authority, but he has, you know, he's got a voice in this setting over here. Like, there's King Canute, there's Prince Harold, and then there's everyone else. But yeah, it still does confuse me why, like, he doesn't seem like he's rich at all that anyway. I mean, Jarl Olaf looks a lot richer. He's like, he wears the fine furs and he came in on a fleet and all of that. And so I really don't know what the hell Harold's situation is. Like, Harold, where is your home? Huh? Where are your people? Where are your parents, Harold? Where's your house? You're a prince? Who are your parents? Was your brother your only family and now Olaf is the only one left? We don't know, okay? But I'm keen to see if maybe there's some exposition that I didn't pick up on, like, you know, so we'll see. Freydis looks upon the camp. She stayed there all night watching for Leif, because next thing she's waking up, it looks like it's dawn, you know, like the sun is just rising. The camp is already up, and she still doesn't know whether Leif has come back. So she makes an offering and burns it. I don't really know what this ritual is, but it's so pretty, and this is what I was talking about with like how they treat the pagan worship. I mean, look at this. It's absolutely beautiful. Like, the fire, the flame. One thing I'm seeing is that there's a lot of fire, and the light that comes from this fire just is so gorgeous, and yeah, it's doing everything. And then it carries on to Freydis, and obviously she's my ethereal goddess. Like, wow, she is gorgeous. And this little ritual over here, fun. She made a little idol, a little totem, a little, I don't know what to call it. So she made this this little offering, right, and burns it, and it's so quiet, and she's just praying. What is she praying for? Maybe she's praying for strength on her journey. Maybe she's praying for success in their mission, but she's praying in her language. Doesn't really say what language that it is. Old Norse, maybe, I don't know. And it's just so peaceful, you know, and she's in the woods. And so this is what I was saying, that I find a beauty in the pagan worship. Though you know, it's not what I personally believe. I mean, I love nature, and so I like the surroundings, and it's pretty, and so it's just like, why would you have a problem with it? Do you know what I mean? Okay, we're gonna get into some things. I know you're thinking human sacrifice, all of that. Don't worry, we're gonna get there, okay? I've thought about it as well. We're gonna get there anyway. So, but why would you have a problem with it? Because it's generally like this. Fine, they will sacrifice a human for like a big thing, I guess, but the way that they did it again was via volunteer. I mean, personally, that's not what I believe / agree with, but you know, that's them. That's what they're doing over there. So, you know, in any case, then there's, you know, killing the goats, the chickens, all of that. Hello, Judaism, we have the temple service, so that's not so, you know, so far out of left field. And okay, in the Old Testament, God was like super against like the creation of idols from wood and stuff like that. So maybe that's what these Christians are triggered by. But again, I say unto thee, that is under the old covenant, and that is under the law, which was for the Jewish people. Yeah, it was for the Israelites. You're not even them. You're not it, okay? I know Christians like to read themselves into the Old Testament and stuff like that. I'm not giving a lesson or whatever, but this is my understanding, is that no, the Bible and all of that was, you know, is a historical document, especially the Old Testament, that was written in a specific time for specific people. The Old Testament is the Jewish Bible. It is their Bible. I mean, it was for them. They are the people. So when Christians come in and they put themselves into like the law and all of that, I'm like, where is the circumcision? Are you circumcised in the flesh or are you circumcised in the spirit? Okay. And that's Galatians, baby. I do have scripture to back up my doctrine. Thank you. Thanks. Okay. So it's like not for us. Okay. The law and all of that. And so when he's talking about that, that was a specific time. There's a whole bunch of context over there. It's not this. All right. So again, my question is, what is the problem? Why are you killing people for burning sticks in the woods, quietly, praying to their Norse gods? You're supposed to not even like believe in those gods. Actually, you believe in one God, right? You know, the triune God. And it's like, why is it a problem for you? Should you not be loving people and telling them the good news about Jesus? Anyway, let me not get into that. So it's a beautiful scene, and then we get our first look at the ruler of Kattegat. When I first saw this lady, I was like, oh my gosh, work agenda, right? I was like, how is this woman here? Who is she, first of all? But then she grew on me, okay? And we gradually learned more about her, and it's not work checklist, right? Vikings Valhalla. Why are you so good? So actually there's a reason, in-world reason that we will get to later. But like even this actress that plays Astrid is just so good, and her presence like on there, like she just grew on me over time. At first I did roll my eyes like, what's this melanin doing over here in this Viking show? I mean, I'm like, it's jarring, do you know what I mean? This ain't Bridgerton, this ain't Mr. Henry's List. But Vikings Valhalla never disappoints. So in any case, Astrid and Freydis meet, and so Astrid comes across Freydis worshipping the old gods. So that's the first thing that Astrid sees Freydis doing, which is also maybe something to consider for the relationship between the two, and why it is that Astrid sends Freydis to Uppsala, right? Because at first I was like, why is she sending her like to Uppsala? I mean, I don't really get it. It seems a little bit contrived, but no, they started building it right here from the very first meeting, from the very first scene that they have together. Like writers, Jeb Stewart and team, like, thank you so much. Like, I'm loving it so much. Please continue. Brew, season 3. They arrive in Constantinople. I'm so excited. And I kind of spoiled myself. At the end of the season 2 review, I might spoil you guys as well, because I googled Leif Erikson and I found out some things, and I feel like I kind of know the future, although I didn't read like the details of anything. I just saw like what he does, and then I was like, oh my gosh, seriously, is that what's coming? But anyway, back to season 1, baby. We gotta get through season 1 first. Okay, cool. So they meet, and Astrid gives Freydis a warning to say, you must be careful, you're a long way from home, and it's not safe. It's not safe to worship the old gods here. And again, very sad, so sad that is a fact, right, in this story and perhaps in history. So Astrid tells Freydis that only Kattegat is safe for believers in the old ways. And again, I mean, Freydis is literally just in the forest, like burning some sticks. I'm saying some sticks, but I'm like not trying to diminish like this ritual of hers. But what I'm saying is that it's wood that she's burning. She's not hurting anybody. Okay, what is the problem? Like, she could be literally a Christian sitting in the forest making a fire, just a fire for heat, and they wouldn't kill her. Just, do you see like how that's insane? Because the only difference is what they believe. And the thing about faith is, proof, okay? None of us are sure. That is literally why it's called faith. We don't have proof about what we believe. It like cannot be proven. It cannot be seen. I believe in the unseen gods. Freydis believes in Valhalla, which she cannot see. I mean, this is faith, okay? So, for something like that to be the only distinction between the decision to kill someone or not is pure madness. Freydis mentions her father to Estrid, and Estrid seems to know Freydis' father, Eric, and essentially sends her regards. And so it's like, how do Eric the Red and Estrid Håka know each other?
When you see your father again, tell him hello from Estrid Håka. He will remember me.
Okay, shout out to the costume department, okay, because Jarl Håkar's coat in this scene is giving me everything. I want it. I want it for myself because it looks so hella warm and it's so gorgeous. Wow, absolutely love it. So this is my first shout out to the costume and makeup and department, but there will be more, baby, because like I said, people be coming to work on Vikings Valhalla, okay? No one is dropping the ball over here. The writing team is like, here we are, okay? The director of photography is like, here I am too, baby. We're here. We're all here. And hair, makeup, wardrobe, all of it. I mean, I say makeup as if there's people wearing makeup. I would be very surprised. I mean, I would be very interested to find out if these people are actually wearing makeup, because Freydis, for example, doesn't look like she's wearing makeup. You can see her skin, you can see her freckles, and like it looks quite bare personally. So I would be quite surprised and be like, what kind of voodoo is this if she had some base on or something. Maybe she's got moisturizer on because her skin is looking gorgeous and very healthy and just flush. But yeah, I dig it. And I also dig the light eyebrow, by the way. I like that it's a bleached eyebrow and not a dark brow, because I feel like it's more Nordic that way, it's got that Nordic feel. Freydis heads back to the camp because she clearly fell asleep just watching the camp. Because my girl Freydis, okay, I told you this about her, she is bullheaded, and once she gets an idea in her head, like, she is also laser focused. So I guess her and her brother have got that in common, right? She goes back to the camp, right, and essentially tells the others that they're heading back to Kattegat. So again, remember I told you that Leif, I noticed him like just walking and like seemingly aimlessly, but no, he's looking around. So again, we cut to Leif walking through the camp, and it seems like we're just like what are we doing here? Like, what's the scene for? But no, my man Leif is looking. He's always on a mission. He's always got an objective. Then, objective spotted. He sees Jarl Olaf walking through in the distance, through past the crowd, and his little ears perk up and he starts following him. He's so focused that he doesn't even notice the guys behind him, and normally you can't get a jump on Leif, but nope, now we've got even more guys. I don't know what it is about Leif, but guys see him and they're like, yeah, I want to try him. And I'm like, you're making a mistake. You're making a mistake. So these dudes, they accost my man Leif, okay? And they essentially have a problem with his dad because his dad killed their brother. And Leif is like, sozo, bro, but I'm not my dad. And then he just like turns away to leave, right?
My father's history has nothing to do with me.
So that's Leif, right? He is just so matter of fact, and he's just so confident like in himself that it's like, nah, and then he turns away. But unfortunately, the guys don't want to let Leif leave. They sort of block him off as he tries to go the other way. And as they do this, we get some good exposition. And again, here we have another instance of exposition being given like so naturally, like fine, these two parties both know what his dad did, right? But now he's not just saying it like for no reason. He's accusing him. He is laying down accusations and he is wanting Leif to pay for those accusations. So here we have another instance of revenge and justice, right? So these guys are coming for justice, they say, so they call it justice. It will be interesting. What is the difference, between justice and revenge? Because we're seeing this come through a lot. So now this is like is it the third time or the second time? No, I think it's the second time that we see, the first time was in Kattegat. Someone tried to take my man Leif on, and now we see him in action against many. And boy, I love this scene. It's so amazing, like the camera work, how it follows him, like it uses its cuts sparingly, but the tracking and the movement of the camera is such that you can still follow the action, you can follow where the people are, like you can kind of keep track of them. And Leif himself is moving all the time, making sure that his back is never to them as well. So it's some great fight choreography in this in this series as well, and this is just another example of it. And the way that Leif fights, right? Okay, this man, wow, he knocks each and every one of them like down a couple of times. They keep coming up, he knocks them down, they keep coming up. But the way that he does it is by the butt of like the axe that he's using. Like he will slap them with like the flat edge of the sword, like really just hitting them hard so that it hurts, but not so much as to like injure them badly. And he will flip and smash their faces with like the flat end of like the hammer or something of the axe, and definitely draw blood. Like he's not trying to protect them, right? But he ain't trying to kill them either. And I think that it shows like how skilled he is as a fighter. I mean, I ain't no Shadowversity, but I think it takes a lot of skill to pull back your strength and all of that when you're in a fight where people are actually trying to kill you. It takes a lot of skill for you to hold back and not like injure them more than you want to. And like he even commented on himself like afterwards when they say, you're just like your father, and he's like, no, if I was like my father, you'd all be dead. So he's as great if not better than his father, because I think it takes more skill to not hurt people when you're fighting with weapons that could do it, right?
You were wrong. If I was like my father, you would all be dead.
At the end of the scene, we see that Harold was observing the fight there. So yet again, the scene had a purpose. It wasn't just a fight to have a fight. We got some amazing action. We even learned about how good Leif is at fighting and how skilled he is. So even if it had just been a fight, it would have still been a scene that was worth, that should have been there because it was useful, But then because we see Harold see him, now we know that Harold knows he's quite skilled as well. And so it's sort of always building up for the next thing, you know. So, I mean, I guess a lot of TV shows do this. You know, sometimes it can actually be like really lame, like think like Passions, where something happens and then it like pans over to someone who was watching, like dun, dun, dun. So it can be dramatic, but this one was done just so well, like subtly. He was just there, and it was just a quick flash, you know. It didn't linger on him like, life, you know. He was just like, and then it was done. And then in the next scene, it comes to fruition. Oh, wow, what a beautiful shot. It flashes like the mountain. Oh, wow. It's gorgeous, like everything about this, the way that this is shot. So Harold comes and starts chatting to Leif and gets some more information about him. So I think this is where we hear the first of who this Eric is and what he's done. So it's Eric Thorvaldsson, Eric the Red, and he was banished for murder. Instead of being, you know, alarmed at this heritage, Harold is quite pleased. He's like, of course, you're your father's son, I see. And he's smiling about that, so clearly it's pleasing to him. Leif introduces himself, and then the two officially meet.
We met yesterday. Yes, I remember.
Clearly referring to when Freydis was in the bathtub.
Freydis said you captained your boat all the way from Greenland. Could use good ship captains who can fight. I can promise great glory if you join us in England. Glory? I thought you were going to England for revenge.
Harold says, true Vikings always reach for glory. It's what defines us. Leif says he'll think about the offer. And before he goes, Harold's trying to get the DL on Freydis. But Leif is like, well, good luck to you, good Christian. For some reason, and I'm not sure why, like Harold asks his little servant, follower, monk, I don't know who this guy is, right? Like, who are you? In any case, he asks this dude to follow Leif, and I always wondered, like, what is it that Harold is expecting Leif to do? Does he just think like trouble follows him around, or is he just interested to know what he's doing? Like, I don't know, but at any rate, this guy follows him. Then we cut to Kattegat, where Astrid is looking regal as ever. Sorry, Jarl Håkan. Please forgive me, Jarl Håkan. She welcomes King Canute and his men into Kattegat and invites them essentially to feast at her table. The army rides in, and as they ride in, we see the camera pan towards the crowd, and in the crowd are the Greenlanders, including my girl Freydis, who on my first watch I actually didn't really see that was Freydis in the hood. I actually just saw the tall blonde dude with the hair, and I never saw her or the other two, to be honest. Or Liv! Oh my gosh, Liv is also standing right there. Flip, bro. That's some refrigerator blindness right there. We're in the Great Hall, and the monk dude is there, Harold is there, Leif arrives and starts walking around, as is his habit. Weird snake dude offers Olaf a snake. I don't know, man. I don't know what's going on. In any case, you know, all is merry, there's feasting. At the high table in the Great Hall, Jarl Håkan and King Canute are sat, and they start chatting. King Canute says that he remembers Jarl Håkan's husband, and that he was a good man. And then my girl Istrid, no, sorry, Jarl Håkan. So Jarl Håkan, like flippin'.
Do not confuse tolerance with forgiveness, King Canute. My eyes are always open.
does not take that, okay? I was like, dang. I mean, everyone here just does not care, right? I'm always like so nice to people and try to be polite, but she's like, don't think that I have forgiven you. I'm not exactly sure what happened to him. He just says that, you know, that she's clearly quite strong for being able to have kept the city open after what happened to him. And it makes me think that whatever happened to him had something to do with King Canute, because why would her response be? So clearly there's something going on there, like, right? What happened? Does somebody know? Are we gonna find out? Okay, then here's another thing. So the tall dude, right, he goes and tries to get into the Great Hall, but the bouncers, I guess, they know they know that he is one of the Greenlanders, and they won't let him in. Another question, why are the Greenlanders not allowed in? Because Leif is inside walking around freely, but why is this dude not allowed in? Maybe he's not important enough? I don't know. Maybe he is too low born. Or it could be like a status thing, hey? Only the Jarls and the leaders and the captains are allowed inside? Mayhaps. Him and the other lady Greenlander, they cause a diversion essentially so that Freydis and Tolva can get inside unseen by the bouncers. So Leif then notices that they've made it inside, and so that's, I think, is his cue. King Canute, ever a lover of speeches, gives yet another speech to thank Jarl Håkon for hosting them in Kattegat, while Leif just continues to make his way through the Great Hall, and he's approaching. So we see, okay, so now the misdirect is coming, right? So this is the culmination of the misdirect, because I guess you could say even Harold was misdirected, right? So there's two layers of misdirect going on here. Harold is being misdirected because he thinks Leif is the Greenlander to watch out for, right? So for some reason, Harold has said nay to the Greenlanders. Maybe it's because they are looking to kill somebody. Maybe it's that. I mean, he never says, so it's up to us to speculate. So in any case, that could be it. So that's misdirect number one. And then the second misdirect is for us, because we thought that Leif was gonna go kill Jarl Olaf, right? We thought that he was approaching Jarl Olaf. And when I was watching on like my first watch, I was like, bro, how is Leif gonna do this? He's gonna die. I mean, everyone is there, everyone is standing there. I mean, Harold is right there. How is he gonna get past Harold? And so, bro, great misdirect over there, because like the dude stops Leif from getting any closer, and Harold comes to confront Leif and tells him to stop whatever he's planning or he'll kill him, right? And you know what? I believe every threat that these Vikings make, having watched both seasons.
Hello, Christian. Now it's my turn to give you a cross.
Psych, bitches! You thought it was Leif, but nope, it was Freydis this whole time. Did you even see her sneak in? Like, I kind of missed her sneak in. I just saw like a hooded person, and then I was like, is that Freydis? But I didn't really catch on that she was in here. So when we had the reveal, I was like, oh my gosh, because dang, what a reveal. And then she says, hello, Christian. And the little girl squeals off. Boy, she takes her revenge. She gives him a cross in his chest, and just the look of pure relish on her face as she does it is just like, it's like joy. I mean, just throughout it all, wow, she's killing it. What is her name again? I don't know why I keep forgetting her name. Is it because it's close to Freydis Eriksdotter? Right? I mean, it's Freydis Eric's daughter, and her real name is Frida Gustafsson. So, like, I'm struggling with remembering her name, but Frida, girl, you're giving it everything. You're doing it. I'm loving it. It's amazing. And we are just on season 1, episode 1, bro. Like, dude. So Olaf is so incensed that he grabs an axe and tries to kill her right then and there.
This is not your house, Jarl Olaf!
But he is stopped by Jarl Håkon herself. She's like, this ain't your house, Jarl Olaf. What you doing? Trying to give justice in my house. She's not having it. She puts a long sword to his throat and is like, better step. So Jarl Håkon is like, no, this is my house. You will not. This is my house, my laws, my rules, my sword at your throat. Okay, step back. Then he calls on all the witnesses to say, you know, we all saw what she did right in front of our faces. He demands justice, but Freydis is ready. She also demands justice, and she tells them of his crimes, that he raped her, that he was judged guilty of his crimes in Greenland, that he fled, and that she was within her rights to take her vengeance upon him. And they don't believe her, essentially. And it's all in the end, it's Harold, my man with the silver tongue, that comes to the rescue. So Jarl Håkon is not having any of that. She is ready. She's got arrows, bows and arrows, like pointed down at all of them. And she takes control of the situation. And Harold, seeing that, okay, this doesn't look like it's going to end well, jumps in, because my man has always got to jump in, right? He's always got something to say. He's always got a speech, and let's let him have it, okay? Because he gets stuff done and he saves Freydis essentially, because he tells her to show them how the dude mutilated her, because that is a form of evidence, because she did not put that thing there herself.
I believe her! I believe her! You must show them.
Or it's a really good case that he's put forward, actually, and a great piece of evidence to show all that crime. I'm not sure what would have happened, like, you know, what would they have done if there hadn't been a mutilation, if there had only been a rape, you know? Would they have killed her? Interesting to consider. The crowd starts agreeing with Harold and starts shouting, good riddance, I say. And that's how a lot of people feel about rapists. King Canute steps in to say, essentially, you know, this is Jarl Håkon's house. He stands with her, and Jarl Håkon will render judgment in the morning. So Freydis and Leif get led away in chains, and they are now prisoners of Jarl Håkon in Kattegat. It doesn't look good for them as they're being led away, but at the same time, they do look good as they're being led away, right? Brother and sister duo. I wonder if we're ever gonna meet Eric the Red, and who that would be played by, the papa of those two. He'd have to be gorgeous. And their mama, ooh, dang. I mean, let's be real, they look good. Guys, I did it! Flip, I got through episode 1. Dude, I'm so tired. I don't even know if you'll like be able to see how, you know, I don't know if my eyes are looking red or what, but they feel like quite scratchy. I'm just so glad that I was able to finish filming episode 1.